Hello guys, it's WeatherTZK, and today we're going to be talking some more about Killing Floor 3. Now today I thought I'd do like a general roundup video of everything we know so far. Basically just compile everything that we know from the past couple of trailers, articles, just like put them all into one video just so everybody's like up to speed. And of course, if this is your first time hearing about Killing Floor 3 and it's something you're interested in, then this video will basically get you up to speed. I won't go into full detail because I've already got a load of videos breaking down each trailer, so if you want to see that, I do have an entire playlist on that. But this video is going to be more of like a general overview of what Killing Floor 3 is as a whole, like what we know so far, what we can expect, and it's just a good reminder, you know, because there's been quite a few trailers and I imagine some people may have forgotten some things. I forgot a couple of things as well, so, you know, it's nice to have a nice reminder of everything that's coming up. So first of all, the biggest and most important question: what is Killing Floor 3? What is it all about? So the battle begins with Nightfall. Its 2091 Megacorp Horzine has produced the ultimate army, an obedient horde of bioengineered monstrosities called Zeds. Now only the rebel group Nightfall stands between these infernal creations and the future of humanity. Killing Floor 3 is the next installment in a legendary action horror series. This intense FPS puts you in the boots of a Nightfall specialist, joining forces with up to 5 teammates to battle waves of Zeds, earn dosh, unlock skills, and build the ultimate arsenal. So it's basically just like the last 2 games if you ever played that. If you are somebody who is new to Killing Floor and have no idea what the game is about, if you ever played COD Zombies, it's sort of similar to that. You basically build your arsenal up, except of course it is very different in its own way. And of course, with the game being set in 2091, it has gone very deeply futuristic, but also a dark futuristic. They did mention that they were bringing back the horror from Killing Floor 1, also with a mix of Killing Floor 2's futuristic atmosphere. And it is very gory as well, so if you're a fan of gore and blood, then this will be a good game for you. There's even glory kills in the game now, so you can basically take down Zeds with a quick attack, just like Doom or any other first-person shooter, which can make the game a lot more satisfying, a lot more smoother. And with Killing Floor 3 as well, Zeds also have new abilities, so as you know in Killing Floor 2 with Suicidal Hell on Earth, they had new abilities, new attacks. This time, all of the Zeds seem to have entirely new skills. Like for example, the Flesh Pound can now extend his arms, meaning he can hit you from long range. And we've also got a short snippet of gameplay, which as you can see you get a good look at the guns and the atmosphere in more detail, which of course we'll get more into that with more trailers. And speaking of new Flesh Pound abilities, the Assist also has new abilities, and with each Zed as well they have a specimen ID number. The Assist has the SI07, common ID the Assist. Deployed as infantry units in militaries across the globe, the SI is one of Horzine's most in-demand bioweapon solutions. Our most recent model comes to market with a variety of new features, including a biological projectile that can cause temporary blindness. Affordable and adaptable, this next generation fighter delivers the tactical edge necessary for battlefield dominance. As you can see here, we have our first look at the Assist, which has been designed in a very freaky but interesting way. Speaking of Assist, the Scrake also has had a redesign as well. The Scrake's common ID being the BW06, and yeah, as you can see, he now has a grapple hook. He still has his same old chainsaw. As you can see, he looks very different. Got a first look at the weapons and the animations, and yeah, we have the grapple hook looking pretty nice. Since its introduction 18 years ago, the BW06 series has been deployed in more than 7,500 engagements. Now Horzine introduced the C-Line, extending the already considerable capabilities of this formidable bioweapon. Let the BW06C take the lead, exposing the enemy to your infiltration units as it skillfully soars through armoured vehicles, bunkers and other fortifications. And next up we actually have a very interesting developer diary here. And this is actually like behind the scenes development of Killing Floor 3. And we do get a really good insight into what the game will look like. So as you can see, we got some concept art here looking a bit like Doom 2016 with the Argent facility. We've actually got some early concept Killing Floor 3 footage right there. Of course, later on you can actually see actual proper footage, but no, this is actually quite interesting. Very early look. And as you can see there in that very short snippet, it looked like the Z grabbed you and you had the quick time event, which means you had to basically click in time to escape. We even got objective mode returning here by the looks of it, with some different objectives. Got some HUD concept here. Also got a look at the siren, which we actually haven't seen a reveal yet, but could end up being in the game. And next up we have the most classic Z of all, the Clot, the KCG-09. 83 years after its invention, the KCJ remains the most predominant bioweapon in the field. The 9th generation model incorporates a steel reinforced skeleton, unrestrained ferocity that, along with its competitive price point, ensures it will continue to dominate the bioweapons landscape. So of course, it looks like the Clot works just like the regular Zs, hasn't really had that much upgrades, but I guess it could be stronger with its skeleton. And next up, we finally have some Killing Floor 3 gameplay. And this is going to be where the most interesting things start coming along. So as you can see, we obviously get a very good look at some crawlers there. We got some Zeds here, like the Gorefast, the Husk, and at that point we didn't actually know anything about them. But this is like our first look, and yet you have some new characters coming back, like Mr. Foster. And we've got the glory kills again, so of course we're going to have multiple glory kills, just like Doom. And as you can see, the game is very gory. They've stuck to the theme of gore quite a lot. So you've also got some new gadgets there, like the electric trap. I don't know what it's called yet, but it basically throws it on the ground, it electrocutes the enemies. And we've even got zip lines as well, so basically meaning you can traverse the map a lot easier, get from point A to point B a lot quicker. And this is the first time we've actually seen this as well, but each specialist basically gets their hand on a gadget. And I say specialist instead of perks because they basically said they were replacing perks with specialists, which I'll get into more detail in the actual article. But Mr. Foster is the commando, and we have a drone here which fires rockets. So not only has the Zeds also been upgraded, we've also got player upgrades like the ability to dash. You can actually see your player sliding for a very split second. So of course we can now dash, slide, do whatever we want, whereas Killing Floor 2's movement was a lot more restrictive. And of course, since Zeds have now been upgraded, we get some upgrades, make it a bit more of a fair fight. Not to mention as well, the weapons have gone very futuristic. They basically tried to bring the guns more into the future. So of course they do look slightly different, but they still look like their old counterparts. We also got a look at our new boss, the Impaler. We don't know much about him actually, but what we do know is he does have a blade on the front of his face. But yeah, we don't know any more about his attacks or what he can do. We actually had some music released recently, his boss theme, which is quite cool. But apart from that, we don't know anything. And then at the end, we also get an early indication of when the game is going to be released. It's going to be released early 2025, which actually isn't that far if you think about it. So when we go on to the PCGamer article, we actually do get a bit more insight into what the game is going to have in store for us. Described as equal parts M1 Abrams tank and gorilla, with a giant blade embedded in his face, the game's first boss sets this scene perfectly, and of course this is the Impaler. First thing I notice is the giant gorilla tank hybrid barreling towards Winya. After that I spot the winking red lights, armoured plates and biomechanical technology. It's not sleek, this thing looks bolted on and welded together. If this is truly the future, Killing Floor 3's biggest twist is the jump to science fiction. Then it's more aliens than Star Trek. And of course they're basically talking about the Impaler. As you can see here, he's got his big blade on his face. He mentioned something about these red parts being weaknesses, but that could be anything. And you can also get a better look at the Impaler as well, the new boss. And of course he has some kind of claws, which could be interesting, although again we don't know very much about that. The xenomorphish crawlers can now climb on walls to ambush you from all angles, but the real terror is the chainsaw wielding Skrakes. And of course they're basically talking about the upgraded Zeds, like I showed you before in all of these Zed reveals. Each Zed now has their new abilities. If you look at this picture as well, you can obviously see the crawlers now climbing on walls. Again, they were going to do that in Killing Floor 2, but it was scrapped from the game. It used to be that there were tons of Zeds, but they were all very similar in height, and so you could just line up heads and start shooting. There are less Zeds now and the pace of the combat is a bit slower, but now you'll have to deal with problems like the fact husks can fly, and of course we haven't seen the husk yet, but now we know that he flies, which we can actually see further on with the trailers, and they can also shoot down at you from various rooftops. So of course you can't just shoot Zeds and just instantly kill them, they also have armor plates as well. Individually those armor plates are covering up a selection of weak spots across the beast you'll be fighting. It's a testament to the design of the game that even at this early stage it's easy to read, even in frantic firefights as the metal plates will ricochet bullets while flesh will get shredded under gunfire. So of course with the Scrake we saw he had a armor vest, which means you can't just gun him straight in the chest. Players worried about the franchise moving to science fiction needn't be. As mentioned above, it takes more from sci-fi action like Predator or Aliens than it does hard sci-fi. And there's one in particular, Aliens Rogue, that really plays into this science gone wrong theme and trying to create biological weapons. And like I mentioned before as well, they are starting to use specialists more than perks, which has stirred up a bit controversy. They actually made it so the weapons are actually cross-perk, which wasn't originally the idea. As the Zeds get more dangerous, players have new tricks up their sleeve too. The biggest and most controversial change will most likely be that specialists, named characters, replace the class system of the previous game. They can only buy guns designed from their specialty rather than the earlier buy what you want philosophy of older games. Which, by the way, they did actually change this. This article is basically from 4 months ago, and I can confirm they have changed this now. Well, it's what they were originally planning to go for, but of course we still have it where characters are locked to specific perks. And they mentioned here as well in this paragraph, Mr. Foster is basically the commando, Firebug is a female. While this might feel limiting to Killing Floor 2 veterans that are used to having a backpack full of things that go boom, there's a trade-off. These specialists each get their hands on a gadget, which most players will recognise as being akin to one of Overwatch's ultimate abilities. And again, they're basically going with a hero shooter approach, basically with this philosophy. And whilst it doesn't really fit Killing Floor's actual theme, it could work if they do it correctly. And by the way, just to let you know, there is also an IGN interview which you can watch where Brian basically breaks down all of the Killing Floor 3 stuff, basically goes into detail. So if you want to watch that, it is linked below. I'm not going to go fully into it, but basically it is there if you want to watch it. And just like the other Zeds, the bloat has also been redesigned with some new abilities. The ETD has played a key role in combat operations for almost 8 decades. The selfless combatant is all new for 2091, with acidic weapons that can inflict extensive tissue damage and ocular inflammation. From riot control to area denial, the ETD-08 provides a versatile solution for a variety of security interests. Of course, due to the bloat being quite big, of course, it does work quite well with area denial. And with this trailer as well, we also get some very interesting stuff that we actually never seen before. So here it looks like the player's gone into Last Stand. Like in multiplayer, when you go down, you have a chance to be revived by the looks of it. And the bloat actually has new abilities. He's still got the sick obviously, but his back actually inflates when he's about to be sick, which is quite cool. We've also got a death animation here, so when the player gets defeated, this is what you're going to see. Depending on which Zed kills you, basically get different animations for each Zed, but when you get killed by a bloat, that's what happens. And next up we have the Gorefast, the SC500. As the first Horzine model to wield a weapon implant, the SC has defined the cutting edge of biotechnology for decades. The SC500 can infiltrate enemy lines effortlessly, slicing through adversaries with its newly designed blade arm. Deploy this stealthy striker to dismantle opposition forces with efficiency and precision. As you can see, we got a look at our zip lines there. Basically a way of getting from point A to point B a lot quicker. You also got a look at the shotgun, which is also on the Firebug. It's an incendiary shotgun, as you can see from the sparks. I thought it was an actual support weapon at first, but it actually isn't. I've also got a new gadget there, and this is more of a door trap, which basically works as an explosive device once the door takes damage. I've also got a lookout of firebug here, obviously likes the colour yellow for some reason. There's also some technology on her back which could be used to dash or slide a lot better. And now with the second dev diary you also get a nice look at the new gameplay. See, it sticks to its very dark theme. Of course, got the return of frag grenades and stuff. As you can see, it makes a bit of a mess. The bloat also had some weak spots. With Killing Floor 3 being on Unreal Engine 5 as well, you also get 12 times more blood depth. So basically there's going to be a lot more blood on the map. You've also got weak points on Zeds too, like the ability to rip Zeds in half. I mean, it depends on the caliber, I think, but I think all guns should be able to do that. So yeah, like I mentioned before with the first gameplay trailer, they did say they were going to limit guns to certain characters, but now of course we finally have it, so we can use any gun. They still haven't given up on the idea of locking characters to perks, but they've at least given us the choice now to use different weapons for different specialists. And of course with Killing Floor 3 you now have a ton of customization, such as different ammo mods, attachments. You've also got like a tool bench as well. You can test out your different loadouts. You've also got a shooting range, so you can test out different guns, see how they feel. And of course, with Killing Floor 3 being set 70 years into the future after the events of Killing Floor 2, you may be wondering, how is the characters going to survive that long? Well, it turns out they're actually clones of their past self. So Mr. Foster obviously comes back as a clone of himself. Still the same person, but he does sound slightly different. And like I mentioned before with the death animations with the bloat, you've also got a first look at the death animation with the Scrake. You literally get ripped apart. So not only can you glory kill Zeds, they also glory kill you, just like Doom. So it basically works both ways. So moving on to the last Zed reveal. This isn't the last one, this is just the last one that we currently have. The Crawler, also known as the ASO6. They didn't really give much of a description for the Crawler, but as you can see here, they obviously climb on walls, and there is a lot of them as well. And again, just like every Zed, you also have a death animation with the Crawlers where you get ripped apart. And we've actually have a look at our new boss, which is going to be coming up. We don't actually have a name for it or know what it can do, but it's basically a giant crawler. And to be fair, I think the yellow spots on its back are its weaknesses. But yeah, again, we haven't had much information other than that. And last but not least, I just want to touch on this gameplay reveal from the video. And of course, as you can see, it is very intense. You can actually see the husks flying in the air. You actually have explosive barrels. Also, the bow has different ammunition types, like explosive or incendiary arrows, just like every gun. And instead of the syringe, you actually get like these EpiPen things, which are apparently meant to be limited amount of them. So of course you can't just keep healing. And you actually got to look at the husk, which as you can see flies up onto the rooftop. You can actually snipe him whilst he's flying mid-air. And yeah, that's it basically. That's the basic overview of everything we know so far. Of course, like I mentioned before at the start of the video, I have broken all these trailers down into a lot more detail. I have a whole entire playlist basically going into more detail. If you want to watch that there, you can go find it on the channel. But yeah, again, as a disclaimer, this is everything we know as of September 2024. So of course, there will be stuff in the future which probably will change what I've said here. But you know, I thought I'd do this video just like a general roundup of just like everything we know, just to refresh everyone's memories. Because of course, as we've seen throughout the trailers, there has been quite a few things that have changed, like the specialist system. But if you do want to keep up with Killing Floor 3 news, I'll be a channel for that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join Discord for the latest Killing Floor 3 news. I post weekly, so you can catch up with that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.